Ignoring team chemistry because, well, we don't have any. It's the Getting Blank podcast with Park, Stoughton, and Drew.
All right, here we go with the Friday edition of the Getting Blank Playoff Podcast. My name is Drew Fairservice, and today is Friday, October the 26th, where we are talking about the playoffs. Game 2 of the World Series went last night. It is all very exciting. The Giants up 2-0 over the Detroit Tigers. Not an outcome many people would have predicted because they were wasting their time by trying to predict the outcomes. Joining me to break down all of the World Series action, Mr. Andrew Stoughton. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, but I think it's a travesty. I think it's a travesty that you've been allowed to stay in this podcast. You really need to seek medical attention. I don't care that you say you're fine. I don't care that there's no symptoms. We've seen it happen. You could die at any moment. I think this looks terrible for baseball. And I think, man, we're gonna have egg on our faces when you keel over.
When my diabetes goes undiagnosed and unchecked for even another moment, there's really a strong, especially in the heat of this room here in the new high-tech blog penitentiary. I could go at any time.
I know. Well, I've been looking on WebMD, and I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about here.
Even that, I remember one time where this one thing happened. Therefore,
ergo.
Internet doctor. A doctor in his own right. A doctor of words. Mr. Dustin Parks, how are you?
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But I feel as though I might be wasting my time by being on this podcast.
How so?
Because there are things outside of this room in which I could be outraged over.
That's true.
I need to find those things to be outraged over to express a deep part within myself that is outraged at other things.
There is every moment, every waking moment is an opportunity for outrage.
Outrage.
Every choice a major broadcaster makes is an opportunity to express outrage. How dare they? How dare they try to distract us with the entertaining words of a lighthearted, kind-hearted, wistful, soul? How dare Sergio Romo express joy?
Oh God!
Heaven forbid.
Heaven forbid.
Brian Wilson on my television. Outrage.
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 How dare he?
How
dare
they?
I have one question for the world. How dare you?
I honestly, when Dustin said he shouldn't be here, I thought it was going to be because there are large segments of last night's game that he doesn't remember.
Only the end part. Yes, the Giants, if you do not remember, if you're like Dustin Parks and you were in a state last night wherein maybe airport bottles of booze were consumed out of sheer desperation, the Giants won. They won 2-0 on what was a key grounded into double play with the bases loaded by Brandon Crawford. A move that somehow MVP Brandon Crawford managed to lower the team's win expectancy, yet by pushing across the go-ahead run. We'll talk about all that. We'll maybe do some questioning of Jim Leland or Gene Lamont, who is on the hook for sending a very fat man home from
Helicopter arms.
Helicopter arms? Yeah, he's like a windmill. All very exciting, and all coming up on this edition of the Getting Blank Playoff Podcast.
Got an opinion? We probably don't give a shit. But hey, give us a call, 1-855-FOUL-TIP, or send us an email, gettingblanked@thescore.com.
All right, yes, so Giants, 2-0 up here in the World Series, headed to Detroit. The ball is in their court, all the power, whatever, momentum, all the good stuff that we're going to talk about. Will they keep the momentum over after the day off, or is that no longer a storyline?
That's tough. That's tough to say. I'm not an expert in momentum. I've heard there are many out there who I think would probably be able to offer better analysis on where the momentum's going to go here. But I can't say for sure.
Doug Fister hadn't pitched in, 9 days? Was it 9 days or so? Maybe more? Looked great.
He did.
Is he immune to the rust?
Well, he didn't look that great because he gave up a walk to Brandon Belt, didn't he?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no, it was Fister was great. Pfister was great. Bumgarner was great. It was a very well pitched and exciting game to watch last night.
Yeah, calling Bumgarner great is kind of an understatement. He was the greatest of all time ever. Just a beautiful, beautiful game. I was a little bit worried in the first inning. Even though he got a couple strikeouts, he was leaving his fastball up in the zone. Didn't look like he was locating the way he wanted to, especially into the Posey glove. But after that, settled down. Man, I just love Madison Bumgarner. Absolutely love that guy.
I like to reserve my love for pitchers who can maybe break 91 with their fastball from time to time.
But it doesn't matter. He reminds me of no, because you know what? It reminds me a lot of B.J. Ryan.
Barry Zito.
B.J. Ryan, who kind of threw it, like an early 90s, low 80s or high 80s fastball, but it looked like it was coming down on the batters so much faster because they didn't see it until the very last moment. And when you watch Bumgarner, his whole body's in front of him, and then his arm comes out, which might not bode well for his arm in the future. But for the time being, it's really, really fun to watch.
Big guy, long stride, so maybe his effective velocity doesn't reflect his true velocity doesn't reflect his effective velocity. As maybe his release point is further down the hill, quote unquote, down the plane towards the plate, rather than a guy like B.J. Ryan, who just kind of stood there and
hucked it,
excreted the ball from between his breasts.
Who threw an early 90s fastball, which I believe wore a plaid shirt.
It was big on suffrage, too. Went vegan for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
No, well, of course. He had, how many swinging strikes? 16 swinging strikes?
I was going to say 11, but I'll go with 16. Sounds better.
Between 11 and 16. He had quite a few. Pfister, not as many. Pfister was the Pfister we've kind of grown to know. The ground ball guy, pitch contact guy, who handled the Giants very well. Except, of course, he walked Belt. Wait. What was the situation in that? It was Blanco stole second, was it not? Blanco stole second, and then
I don't know what you're talking about.
When they loaded the bases, it was the intentional walk that came around to score. Or was that the second run?
That was the second run.
That was the second run. Okay.
Yeah, they loaded the bases the first time. But he walked Belt and they pulled him right away.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
they went to Smiley. Yeah. Which is
ugh.
I was advocating that, making better use of Smiley and Porcello, because the Tigers bullpen is horseshit.
It is unbelievable how bad that bullpen is. Yeah.
When Porcello came out in Game 1, I remember being like, "Oh yeah, he's on this team, isn't he?"
He pitched once before that. He pitched a third of an inning in the division series against the A's. The thing that I wrote about yesterday was, I titled the post "What the Tigers Can Learn from the Cardinals," which was take your young starters and move them to the bullpen. The only thing is, A, it's too late now. You're suddenly asking Drew Smiley to be a high leverage reliever in the World Series when he hasn't really done it before. And B, neither Smiley or Porcello are that good. Smiley's okay. He just couldn't throw strikes yesterday. He threw one really nice pitch to Brandon Belt, but other than that, he just seemed like he was really struggling with his locations. And Porcello is just bad.
It's easy for the Cardinals to say that when they have Miller and Rosenthal to just toss back there.
But if you're another team, if the Giants could do something similar, the Giants have made, had the opportunity arisen for Madison Bumgarner to come out of the bullpen, they would have. Sure. God, the fucking Giants are using Tim fucking Lincecum to come out of the bullpen. Yeah. But these are advantages that the Tigers don't have, and the Tigers just aren't built that way. The Tigers aren't the kind of team that are going to throw a rookie in a high leverage situation. Until, of course, they do. Yeah. But this is a team that obviously values experience, obviously puts great premium on that, and their team is built on experienced guys in nearly every facet of the game. They have experienced coaches. They have old Gene Lamont,
which
was a manager.
Which worked out really well for them.
They're in the World Series, whether we want to admit it or not. Here they are.
I'm not saying Gene Lamont is a windmill, but I did see Don Quixote tilting a sword at him the other day.
Zing. I think more. When I look at the Tigers' bullpen, I see guys who are effective in situations, but they all have huge platoon splits. Now that Valverde's out, because Valverde has just stopped being able to do anything. You got Dotel, who's got huge platoon splits. You've got Koch, who's got huge platoon splits. Even Benoit has huge reverse platoon splits. And Porcello is no better. Porcello can't get a left-handed batter to save his life.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say Benoit's platoon splits are that big, though. He's a pretty solid reliever.
This year they were, but whether or not those are indicative of his true talent, I'll agree. But he's a guy who has experienced trouble with lefties in the past.
Yeah, and I think Dotel's platoon splits this year have been not quite the same as as staggeringly.
He has been used in very lower leverage situations. Leland credit to
until
Leland.
you do it in the World Series.
Yeah.
By having no choice, because Valverde is so fucking bad.
But everything with the Tigers, it starts and begins with that starting rotation, which isn't a bad idea to front load, just have all the talent in the rotation and not have to worry so much about the bullpen. But the bullpen and the defense again are the two biggest differences between these teams, I would say. Like the Tigers have the significant upgraded advantage in the lineup.
In the center of the lineup.
In the center,
but Posey and Pendaval, as we like to call him.
Pendaval has had a really good series.
Yeah.
Pence and Young pretty much cancel each other out. Pagan and Austin Jackson. Austin Jackson's probably a better player, but I don't know that he's any more productive right now.
Yep.
But it's tough. Defense coming up big. We talked about Gene Lamont. That was a big play early in the game with Prince Fielder trying to score from first base on a double down the line by that very same Delman Young. And
still staggering that he continues to hit.
Watching that play live, I was thinking, oh, it's okay. No one's going to score on this because Fielder was on first, and then I'm like, oh, they're throwing him home. They're sending him home. Oh my god.
Killing Lamont is easy because
he was really wrong.
He was out by a step, maybe.
Yeah, it's Prince Fielder. There should never be a situation in which you're sending Prince Fielder in which it's going to be close.
It's true, but that saying to, which I think you were about to do, Drew, to defend Lamont a little bit. One, Fielder's slide was fucking awful, and two, the call was really good. Like the umpire had the right view, nailed it, and it needed the right throw. It needed a really good throw, the right call from the umpire.
Good tag as well.
And excellent tag from Posey, obviously, and it needed and had Fielder got the slide right. It could have been completely different. It was, I mean, but that's with no outs and potentially runners on second and third.
But that's part of it, right? You have to ask yourself. Yeah. Like, can this guy slide? That's part of his base running skills when you're considering sending him.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I mean, I'm not saying it was the right decision, but it did take a pretty impressive play from the Giants and not a good slide from Fielder.
Very impressive play by Marco Scudero, who maybe not quite as dramatic in terms of playing out of position as Derek Jeter in his famous weird flip on the ball that was thrown up the line. But Blanco, who, again, in Gene Lamont's defense, that ball took a weird hop, and Blanco was definitely wrong-footed, to use a soccer term, in that he had to kind of slam on the brakes and then complete change of direction to field that ball off the carom. And that's probably, that in my mind, is what had let Lamont send Fielder. Scudero, who's the second baseman, what the fuck is he doing way over by third base? Grabbed a kind of an offline throw by Blanco and threw a strike home. So killing Lamont is easy. Lamont has kind of pulled a mea culpa, said, "Oh yeah, I shouldn't have sent him," which he perhaps shouldn't have. But it's we've seen this earlier in the Yankee series where Lamont was overly cautious after being too aggressive earlier in the playoffs again. So we'll see. Advantage Giants.
And I was reading a post from last year by Jonah Carey, who's a really, really good writer, it turns out. He's writing for Grantland, and he was writing about Lamont because he made a kind of a decision in the ALCS last year that probably cost the Tigers a run. The way he wrote about everything going through a third base coach's mind, or everything that could be going through a third base coach's mind, and what he's actually considering in that split second in which he has to make a decision is really, really fascinating. Because do you think he's thinking, okay, how many outs are there? Or what's at the top of his mind? How many outs are there? Who's on deck? Who's coming up? Like, what's the probability of him being batted in if I stop him? It's all kind of like this idea of risk mitigation. How many different factors are being considered by the third base coach in that split second?
Mm-hmm. I am one who is, I'm reluctant to criticize aggression. I don't think aggression is a bad thing when you are putting, quote unquote, the pressure on the defense, as people like to say.
Easy, John Farrell.
Well, yeah, maybe you want to do it with a more ideal candidate than Prince Fielder.
Well, there's your thing. Yeah, there's the road.
That was pretty much the only opportunity the Tigers really had against Bumgarner, who settled in quite nicely. I think you, Mr. Fanboy, Mr. Wayne.
An extra out that inning with runners on second and third might have provided some opportunities, though.
Very true.
Exactly.
Now the series shifts to Detroit with Ryan Vogelsong going against Anibal Sanchez.
That's right.
That's an interesting matchup.
Is it?
No.
No.